Why are you hanging out in this creepy dark area in the office? Try to find you at your desk.
Because it's darker here, and you know, I'm playing Dementium.
It's a 60 frames per second first-person survival horror shooter on the DS, and it sort of works.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it first at PAX. We just happened to be walking by the Gamecock booth, and it stands out because you're looking at it, you're like, oh, it's first person. You go over and touch it, and then all of a sudden it's 60 frames. Like, you can tell right away. You're like, I've never seen something this smooth.
Again, this is like the fastest 3D game on DS right now, probably.
Yeah.
Control it like any other shooter you do on the DS,
right.
And that's awkward in and of itself. So you can look and switch between your weapon and the flashlight, and fire. Like, this is the ideal way to hold it if you're approaching it like as a normal console shooter.
And that looks pretty fucking
awkward to hold. It's not that fun.
Yeah, I hold it actually with one hand, just one finger on the left button and one finger on the D-pad. And you're right, you can switch weapons with the R trigger, but you can also do it by tapping on the screen, and it goes really fast. So I found myself just playing mostly with the touchscreen, the buttons, the D-pad, and the one L button to fire. And to me, that's fine. I actually do like the way that FPS controls on DS. I like it in theory. A lot of people were talking about when the Wii came out, was it like going to change the way that FPS was played, or was it going to be superior to the dual analog setup that we're used to?
It's kind of almost a keyboard and mouse setup.
Too much of your time with the Wii when you're pointing is spent trying to keep it level, or spent trying to
because you have that sensor bar, and if you move out of the sensor bar area, like, you're screwed.
Right. You're never trying to keep your mouse level on your desk or something like that. You just move it a little bit and it works. Very tiny movements that you make on the touchscreen are translated into big movements in the game, and so you can do things like turn around really, really fast.
The reason this works with the limited controls is because the enemies are slow, you're not fighting a whole lot of them, and that compensates for the fact that the controls aren't very good.
I totally disagree. I think that the controls are excellent. Like, I love controlling the game. That's my favorite part about it. And I don't like the combat because I think the enemies are lame. All they do is walk at you and attack, or fire at you and run right at you. And I find myself just backing up and firing. Part of the problem is, like you said, there's this weird fog of war in the game. You get a flashlight pretty early on, you can turn it on, and then all of a sudden the draw distance looks really good. But then you turn off your flashlight, and there's just this wave of blackness that's 5 feet in front of you. If instead this was just like a first-person shooter where you were just running around and shooting things, of course, yeah, it would take you a little bit longer to get used to the controls if you weren't used to it. But then, like, I think you'd be really playing to the advantage of what this engine does, which is that it runs at 60 frames. It's simple enough that you can move and shoot pretty easily, at least for me. The survival horror part of it is good because the atmosphere is good. It gives it this, like, kind of limited color palette that works on the DS. You know, it's like the same as any Silent Hill sort of thing.
It's a strangely compelling game, and there's not a lot of story to it. There's not that much going on. The
puzzles are kind of cool though, and there aren't enough of them. It doesn't, like, go quite far enough. and it doesn't really take advantage of the touchscreen in most of the puzzles. But it does have the thing that some of the DS games have been doing lately, where you have a notebook and you like write notes for yourself and all that stuff.
Like I don't want to so down about it, because I really do admire a lot what the game does. If this was somehow like an interactive like audio book or something, like if I was reading like the Stephen King's like The Mist audiobook, and like I was like running through this environment, like sort of like it was more of an adventure game or something like that, where the combat wasn't so heavy.
This is very much an action game, right? But it also shares a lot with a game like Hotel Dusk. But at the same time, like both of those games have deficiencies that could be solved by like integrating, you know, like elements of this game and elements of that game together. So there really is this kind of first-person adventure story.
And I think there is like this game that we are wishing for like out there at some point, especially because it doesn't seem like the DS is going anywhere anytime soon.
I don't think so. Everyone feels differently about Assassin's Creed, right? But the thing that they did right in that game is Altair running around and jumping and climbing up buildings like that. No one can argue like that's pretty well done.
Right.
In this game, this is almost the same situation. The base mechanic is like so fun. Just like for me, running, turning the camera,
it's
shooting,
super fast. You're running around this environment, and it gets like those basic things that haven't been done right, and that's what makes the game like it makes you excited for what other people could do with what the game has laid down as a foundation for like DS shooters.
Right. Like if they used this technology and then just hired people with a few better ideas as far as like game design goes.
Yeah, I mean, in this game, I mean, it has some cool ideas, and I like the fact that it's pretty basic, like as far as like a survival horror like shooter game, and I think it could be like a good setup for a sequel. Like there's not a lot of meat to the story, but when you're playing a DS game, you know, it's okay. Like it's fun for what it is, and like I appreciate what Dementium does for what it is, and it does make me really excited for what other people can do like with an engine like that.
Totally. You know, John Carmack just started like in mobile with his wife, you know, and one of the things he was talking about is that after they finished Orcs and Elves, they were talking about doing a Quake Arena for the DS, and now, like after playing this, I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, I think it would be great.
We like what they did on the tech side, and like want it to get melded with something else on the creative side.
And it's exciting for exactly the reason you just said, which is that the DS isn't going away. So the fact that we need to start resolving that we are going to have this machine around for the next like 4 years probably. Like Nintendo has no reason to get rid of it. It's not slowing down. But it's really cool, and it's fun, and it's an engaging way to do like a handheld shooter. Right. It's not gonna win any Game of the Year awards or anything like that. But if you're the type of person that thinks like, hey, a first-person shooter that plays sort of correctly on DS is a kind of a good idea, that's probably worth checking out.
Yeah, it's a cool game that's gonna get criminally overlooked for several good reasons, but there's still plenty of reasons to check it out, and I would hope that people at least like seek it out, or if a friend gets it, like show people like this stuff does work on the DS. It's just a matter of someone putting we have all the pieces, but they're just in different games, and someone needs to just shove them together into one.
Totally. Anyway, I guess how's that show going? Is
Game Center? Yeah, no, we're about to watch another episode. You know, Ray has converted me.
Maybe I'll come next week.
I know, maybe, you know.
I gotta finish this tape.
All right, fair enough. All right, see you, man.
Catch you later.